Crown Bet is back in the game, built for the big moments in racing and sport, from a name you know. Bet with Crown Bet today.
Chances are you're about to lose.
Progress. It's relentless. Earned by pushing forwards through the setbacks and the wins, all for an opportunity that others might miss. Two worlds driven by performance, guided by data, insights, and feel. It's never just a move, it's a mindset. Because better never settles.
It is a warm welcome to day 2. We are at Crown Melbourne, thanks to Crown Bet, and it is a long-awaited return of one of the biggest poker tournaments in the world. My name is Paul Curry, and after 6 long years, we can finally say welcome to the 2026 Aussie Millions presented by Crown Bet. You are looking at the action as we see it, but we'll join that action very shortly. The Aussie Millions is back, ladies and gentlemen. 18 tournaments, over $14 million in prizes over the next couple of weeks. We will delve into so much information. We will catch you up on that feature table in a moment. It's really hot at the moment here on the tournament floor. For those at home, we had a really excellent day 1 with a 2.5k buy-in culminating in the final table. I'll update you on that in a moment. Because we crowned a winner last night, very late last night. Tomorrow we have the 25k challenge. Today the 5k challenge with a massive field. What can I say? Big names are now in the field and playing, and of course this week is the main event, the big one. Simply one of the best structures in poker around the world. So once again, welcome to the 2026 Aussie Millions presented by Crown Bet. Some of the things we'll delve into, structures, the depth of field, how we got here, how the team at Crown have brought us back, which is quite remarkable really, and what's changed about Crown. We're going to get into all of that over the next 2 weeks. Of course, the players. I mean, you're looking already there. If you haven't noticed, you've got Billy the Croc, one of the more famous Melburnians, one of the more colourful characters we have. So really, we have a ton of great players to showcase. We're going to interview tons of them. But first, I'd like to start with my co-commentator, my man, Ben Blashki from Poker Media Australia. Welcome, Ben. You've just arrived today, and it's pretty hot. It feels like a bit of a reunion.
I walked in, thank you, Paul. It's good to be back. Walked in today and just saw all these familiar faces. I mean, of course, I've seen a few of them around the traps over the past few years, but to see them back at Crown Melbourne for the Aussie Millions, it just brings back plenty of memories from the good old days.
Yeah, it hasn't stopped actually, the feeling of nostalgia. It's definitely the right timing for Crown to bring this back, and we will get into some of that about the work that's gone into bringing all of this back. This has been a real beast. We see Danny McDonough, one of the best TDs in the world, have brought Danny back. It's like they're putting the Blues Brothers together. Like I said, today and tomorrow, the 5K. Tomorrow, the 5K will spill over into the final table. And then, of course, we've got the 25K buy-in. So tomorrow will be really action-packed. Today, we've got one of, well, I'd say right now it's all about that feature table, which you couldn't script better, if I'm honest. I'd like to go straight to it, if I'm honest, because right there you see Van Marcus, one of our, probably our most successful, one of our most successful poker players coming out. Van Marcus with over 3 million in chips is leading on that table. You have, if you look around that table, you'll recognise some of those faces. Like I said, Billy the Croc sits on the table. We've got someone from Mexico in Sergio. But I'll go around the table in a second, Ben. But what do you think when you look at a table like that? It's a bit terrifying, if I'm honest. I mean, that is a table of danger.
It's a pretty strong table. I mean, Cale Burns, of course, Australian Poker Hall of Famer. We've got three of them, three Hall of Fame members sitting on this table right now, the Australian Poker Hall of Fame. Johann Lees, of course, won the Platinum Poker Players Championship, I think it was called, at the Australian Poker Open last year, about 250,000. Paris Sitsoukis has been a bit of a rising star the past few years. Bill the Croc and Armand van Wyk as well has been making a name for himself the past couple of years. Bit of a star-studded table here, which is no surprise. I mean, we're getting down to the business end of the 5K. I mean, it's probably one of the top 3 or 4 feature events here at the Aussie Millions this year, so no surprise at all.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, aspiring poker players around the world, if you really want to benchmark yourself against the greats and you want to know how good you are, if you sit down at a table like that, you really need to be very careful. I mean, the first thing Billy Croc said to me was, I'm looking around for the donkey, and if I can't spot it, it's me. So the old adage still says that if you really aren't on your best game at that kind of table, it won't last long. But it is also a great measure of how far you've come if you can survive at a table like that.
It's what we expect at the Aussie Millions, though, isn't it? I mean, This is a flagship series. It has been for many, many years. It's great to see it back, and I think there's no doubt that it has attracted everyone. It's attracted the cream of the crop, certainly the cream of the crop from Australia, but also internationally. We've got a number of very high-profile international stars here, and they're still coming in every day.
Yeah, and they look so relaxed, don't they? But they are dangerous poker players, let me tell you. You've got Sergio, who's all the way from Mexico. He raises it up to 80,000. Blinds are 20-40 at the moment. Pot's about 180k. A nice relaxed feel at the table, but you'll notice that once those chips go in, these guys start to tighten up and they really go into motion. An excellent table for those at home who are ever hoping to play an Aussie Millions. This is the table you'll learn a lot watching, no doubt. Shout out to my family who are sitting around their own final table, but there's pizza involved. My boys are sitting around watching the coverage and the family.
Can you ask them to save me some of that pizza? That'd be great.
My boys, Jackson and Jonah, don't leave much pizza when there's pizza on the table.
Right. Understand.
Yeah, I think they've got their cousin Dom over, so those three will never leave pizza behind.
I should mention a few of the other big names that are at some of the other tables still in this event. Plenty of them. Joe Hasham, of course, has got plenty of chips. I think last time I checked he had around 3 million, a bit over 3 million, right up with the chip leaders. We've got the likes of Matthew Wakeman, I saw sitting over there. We've got Najee Majez. We've got Michael Guthrie, 4-time WSOP bracelet winner. Has been here for a few days now. He's sitting over there looking very comfortable. Plenty of star power here to enjoy, but I think none more than on our feature table, Paul.
Yeah, and you can see the chatty Billy the Croc, who had the short stack when we were sitting out and they weren't the feature table, and he was very worried about his position, but you can see Billy knows us how to survive. I looked at him and I said, if anybody knows how to survive a table like this, it's you. So it doesn't surprise me, but you can see to the right, he's got the very charming and dangerous Van Marcus, who will be joining us in the coverage, and I'm really looking forward to catching up with Van here, because he's frequenting his homes between Melbourne and Stockholm. So, such is the life of an international poker player. But Van, I must say, is one of those guys that certainly deserves all the luck he gets.
Well, he's in form, isn't he? He's made 2 final tables, I think 2 third-place finishes too this series already.
Yeah, I like the look of Van at this series, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how he continues that form. There's a few players that have stuck their heads out so far, right? So we need to keep an eye on those guys, because momentum is a true thing in poker. Speaking of Van, picks up pocket 5s, got 3 million in chips and raises it up. Makes it 90,000, round to Billy. Gets out of the way. Arm on.
I'm fine. Not good talk underwater, mate.
Billy telling a story.
Billy's always chatting away, isn't he?
Yeah, he's one of the great characters in our game. I must say.
I don't think I've ever seen him not in that shirt.
We'll ask. You get the impression that with Billy, you'd go to his cupboard and he'd have 20 of them perfectly ironed, ready to go, one after the other.
I did know somebody who wore only black T-shirts, and that was the only thing they owned, except for they had 2 blue T-shirts. They wore a blue T-shirt on a Sunday, black T-shirts every other day of the week.
Oh, a player.
No, just a person.
Just a person.
That I know, of course, because I know some unusual people.
Oh my goodness. No, the table's almost slowed down, so we'll just take this moment to say this week we have so much going on here at Crown. So today's satellite, as we walked in, I think they talked about 20 or 30 seats being given. You know, the field was so big for the satellites for the main event. We are expecting a really big return to the Aussie Millions after 6 years. It's just so wonderful to see the card room so alive. The players are so excited. All the big names are equally as excited. They rushed in. So Crown, kudos to Crown and of course presented by CrownBet. They have really got it right in terms of the mix and the timing of bringing this tournament back. So Dan and Harold, who I know are spearheading that effort of bringing this all back to life. We're going to try and get them. They're very, very unassuming, humble guys, but we're going to pin them to the chair or gaffer tape them or something, because we've got to get them and ask them how they did this, because there's so much work that went into it. There's lots of events going on around here. So if you're out there and you're wondering whether you can play, all the lead-up events are also good. We've got to talk about the structures at some point, because the Aussie Millions is probably right up there with some of the best structures in the world, especially the main event.
Well, it gives you time to play, doesn't it? They're long levels, I think 90-minute levels. Yeah. That's plenty of time to play.
Yeah, get your money in good.
Certainly no turbo, that's for sure. But yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned the team here were hoping for or targeting around $14 million in prize money given away.
We're exceeding that now, right?
Danny was mentioning earlier that they're looking like 20 million plus.
Wow,
so,
that's incredible.
I mean, that's quite amazing.
Incredible.
It's a big jump.
Really looking forward to the coverage over the next 10 days, especially with the main event. Crowned a new champion to the Aussie Millions. Bit of action on the table. So Van's pocket fives. Johan with ace-3 offsuit. And the flop is ace-jack-4, turn queen, river 9. So Johan with the lead, a pair of aces, beg your pardon. Van, in the face of a check, is he going to fire? The pot's $1 million here. Is he going to take a stab? It's a tough spot. He throws over the pocket fives, figures he's got some face value, but Johan will take it down. I think Van was really thinking about firing there, so Van just slips a little to $2.5 million. Johan at 2.2.
I think he wanted to fire there, didn't he?
He did, yeah, absolutely. He would have wanted to fire, but I think he knew he was going to get called. There's Cale Burns. Fantastic Aussie player. Really, really good success story in terms of his climb. Cale's been playing for a very long time in this card room, and he's become quite a notoriously strong player. Very, very formidable.
He was, of course, one of the last inductees into the Poker Hall of Fame, the Australian Poker Hall of Fame in 2020. A few days later, he won the 100K challenge.
Amazing.
Alex Fox and runner-up in that event. Just another day in the life of Cale Burns.
It's a great story when you see the players. I remember Cale in the early years really working hard at his game. He hasn't got there by luck. He's worked really hard at his game. So, you know, for those players out there, the budding players that really want to get to the Aussie Millions and give it a go and potentially get to that final table, just take a look at Cale's game. He's really worked hard at his game over the years. He's put in the yards. Around to Billy the Croc with Queen Jack off suit, and he's going to let it go. Billy's got 805k. Around to Armand with Queen 10 of spades. It's a very playable style hand.
Yeah, expect to see him play this.
625k. Again, Billy's chatter is difficult to get away from, and you can see. I always find it a little bit difficult to focus with Billy because he just makes me laugh so much. So imagine playing poker with him.
Fires out a bet.
There's no surprise. Raises it up to 80,000. Cale folds, and look at this, Ben Pocket. Strong player, Ben. He's got 1.2 million in chips, and he's narrowed his eyes, so he's taken a good look. And it looks like a 3-bet.
Raised to 185k.
It's pretty thin, 185k. Oh, and Johan's got pocket sevens with 2.2. Tough spot here for sevens.
Yeah, tricky spot. Unless he thinks that Ben is making a move, he could try to put a bit of pressure on, but not an easy spot.
No, that's a go. Yeah, that's not a surprise. Paris picks up a nice loosey-goosey hand in Queen 9 of Hearts. Can't imagine he's going to entertain. Pauses for a second. And lets it go. Back around to Armand, who's in the face of a 3-bet.
I don't think I've cashed a 5k in my life.
Queen 10 of spades.
No, I don't think so. But I haven't played that many. I've played probably less than 10. Thank you, buddy.
464 players in this event, Paul. Massive field.
Yeah, surpassed all expectations. I think it's reasonable to say it's going to be. This is a true return to the Aussie Millions. It's really made a bang.
Prize
And we've just
pool
begun.
of 2.1 million.
Yeah. That's a good raise from Ben. He gets Armand out of the way nice and thin. So, again, everybody being a little bit cautious. Paris with the short stack at the table at 510. Armand just a little in front of him. Van Marcus with most of the chips at 2.5. Johan at 2.2. First prize, let's announce, right? So first prize in this event for 5,000 entry is $482,000 and change. Second prize is $290,000 and change. And third prize is $188,000. Huge prize pool for a 5K entry. Amazing amount of value. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen huge prize pools throughout this series. It's just continuing on the trend. That's a pretty handy payday for a 5K investment, $482,405.
Yeah, speaking of handy paydays, last night's final table, the 2.5K, I've got to congratulate Diego Ponce from Mexico, who took down a $169,000 first prize in the 2.5K. It was just a terrific run, played really well. Wei Ran Pu, who also came second for $108,000. Of course, Josh, who was leading that final table, he did so well, and I have to say, I thought at one point Josh, who was imposing himself on that final table for most of the event, Josh from New Zealand, he was really imposing, and then he came third. But I thought the story of just checking our hands here. Armand raises it up with King 9 of spades.
Suit to fold. 80 to call.
The story of Jordan Tentori was really interesting because he was the short stack for most of the tournament. And, he literally had a little bit of change, and he kept surviving. He made even some what you would call questionable folds, and he pulled in at fourth for 53,000. So it just goes to show you, slightly unconventional in the approach, but I've got to admire him. I've never seen a more patient player, not in recent times, and he just stuck to his guns. He folded big hands when he needed to. He was monitoring the table. He didn't take any risks. When he got it in, he got it in good. Really good story. Blinds 20 and 40,000. 5K challenge. This is day 2. Final table tomorrow. We'll get this field down. Nearly $500,000 for the first prize. Just going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's a very good payday. We've got about 10 minutes left in this level. Blinds will jump up to 25 50k next level.
Yeah, and it'll start to heat up.
From memory, we're playing another 4 levels after this level tonight, if I'm not mistaken. I'll confirm that with the team, but I believe that is correct.
And to all our people at home who are monitoring and listening in, we had some really good feedback yesterday. And we had some really good banter, lots of support for the players. Please send in, we've got our chat open, so please make sure you join our chat and send us some messages, most of them being quite encouraging, the messages. We've got royalty crossing the tournament floor at every turn. At some point we've got to try and get that guy Harold at the table. I'm not sure how we're going to get him, he's very elusive.
Yeah, they've done a great job, the team here at Crown, to, as you said, Paul, at the start. They've done a tremendous job. Of course, Harold heads up table games or gaming here at Crown. He and his team, Dan, of course, done a brilliant job of bringing the Aussie Millions back. Not easy. I mean, they've got a lot to live up to. The legacy this tournament carries with it is immense. So, you know, you couldn't bring it back half-assed, that's for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to my nephew who's in Vietnam, Noah. He's a budding poker player.
Right.
I can see it in he's got the itch. I can see him looking over at the game. He's got a few boys they're watching. He's out in Vietnam right now with the rest of the family. He's probably watching going, I didn't know this about my uncle.
I consider myself a budding poker player too, Paul, and have done for the past
We've only
30
been
years.
doing that for a long time, yeah. That's why we're sitting here. I reckon we can get you on the felt this week, Ben. I'm happy to support you.
Right, thanks. 25k. Yes, wouldn't want to see that. Hold it around to Paris.
I'll tell you what, some of the restaurants around Crown, they've done a pretty good job. Speaking of, I was talking about the food and bev around here, and they've made Crown's done some really big upgrades in the last 6 years. They've really revamped the joint. It was great before, it was world class, but staying in the Metropole, beautiful hotel, and some of the restaurants some of the food, just fantastic.
One of the new restaurants that's opened probably in the past 18 months is Kolkata Cricket Club, located right next to the poker room here, Indian restaurant. I ate there maybe 6 or 7 months ago. Brilliant, absolutely.
I haven't tried that yet. I've got to get there.
Definitely worth a try.
I've got to be careful with how much food I eat when I come to these things because there's no shortage.
That's right.
If my boys are listening at home and they haven't finished, those boys, Jackson, Jonah and Dom, if you are listening and you are still not in bed, eat your pizza and finish off. Oh my goodness. Action on Armon. He folds Jack 8 off suit around a Kale. He's picked up pocket 10s and folds. That's a pretty tight fold.
I wonder if that... I can't imagine he would have folded 10s.
Yeah, I reckon we might have to check the graphic on that one.
Yeah.
Matty. And yes, for those people out there, sometimes the glitch happens when we're on a live stream. That will happen. We'll apologise and we'll catch up with the data as it comes through. These things do happen. Round to Sergio with pocket 8s. He's got 1.2 million. Round to Van with 6-9 off suit. So Sergio's raised it up to 80,000.
Not much there for Billy. Sergio takes it down.
Van still leads the way at 2.5. Johan with 2.2. Kale at 1.3. Short stacks of Paris and Armon, but plenty of game left. Thank you for the kind words in the chat. We're getting lots of really good, encouraging support, particularly for me and you, Ben. So thank you for the very kind words and compliments. We've got a lot of poker to talk about in the next couple of weeks. By the way, we're also monitoring the relegation battle in the EPL. Ben and I have spoken about that today. Very serious matter.
We are rivals, so that's...
Yeah, we are rivals at Man United Liverpool, but I must say my eyes are firmly fixed on the Tottenham relegation battle. because the Tottenham relegation battle and West Ham, I don't know how that's going to turn up.
Well, Tottenham not looking good. Tottenham, I think, are favourites at this stage to go down. And we spoke earlier, Paul, they finally snatched a win last week, only for West Ham to win as well. So a few games left for Tottenham to save their season. Not that we're here commentating the football, but
Worth mentioning because there are a lot of Premier League fans here.
there are.
Actions on Paris, 490k. Looks like we're going to raise it up a little. Yeah, 80,000 seems to be the standard raise at the table so far. Folds back round to Billy. He's picked up a weak ace. Billy's got that look about him. Ooh. I'll tell you what, after playing Billy for quite some time, he's got amazing instincts, really amazing instincts. I remember he made a read on me, which of course wouldn't be brain science, Ben. I'm not suggesting that I'm the rock, but he made a read that I thought, oof, his radar is just something special. So Billy looks like, as you can see, guys at home, Billy does a lot of talking and stories, but when his radar is never off and when he senses something, he's around. So look at this, he's picked up a read here on Paris and he's made a 3-bet of 240,000. He's putting Paris to the test. Round to Armand with Jack Deuce, who looks like he's either hasn't looked at his cards or he's being very patient and thinking about something, thinking about making a move. No, he hasn't looked at his cards. I didn't think so. Away they go.
He may have been pondering that relegation battle in the EPL.
Folds back round, so this is where the game is played, ladies and gentlemen, at home. Let's see. It's a bit of a tease, a bit of a 3-bet. The question asked to Paris, do you have a good hand? Billy's instincts excellent there, picking up a nice hand. Very nice play by Billy the Croc.
Both sides.
Ben's still in the lead. Not much change at the moment, so I'd say with the next blind change, Ben, you're right. The next level change, we'll see a little bit of pressure come on those shorter stacks. Nearly $500,000 first prize. So those players who are out there who've been, and really the Aussie Millions has been that tournament for Australia, for Asia, outside the World Series. This is the tournament to play, and now it's back, and every aspiring poker player in this side of the world and the other, they dream of winning an Aussie Millions.
Then I'm not betting.
Now they can because it's
What
back.
does IMHO stand for?
I've just been watching players as they bust a tournament, just going buy straight into one of the satellites, and no, they can't get enough. It's jumping around from table to table.
Oh, the action today, as we walked in, the lines for registration were just so, well, they were telling, weren't they? I mean, it just really said the players are so excited that this is back. They've really missed it. And I saw Joe, he walked in, he had this big smile on his face. It's been 21 years since Joe won both the World Series, our only World Series winner from Australia ever, and then of course he won the same year the WPT 5 Diamond. So I think Joe was really, this is home for Joe. So for it to be back, I really felt like Joe was really happy to see all of this around and poker taking that big step back. Just coming into the action, Johan Lees raises it up to 80,000 with King Queen offsuit. It's come round to Billy with King 5. Can't imagine Billy's going to take a pop. He gets out of the way. Armand with 8-6 of spades. He's having to think about it.
It's a pretty hand.
Well, he's in the small blind, so might be thinking that the big blind might be passive. You might get some value, get in there with a bit of a tricky, almost a cash game hand, really. But gets out of the way. Can understand that. Maybe if you had more chips, you'd think about it. Kale with Queen Jack offsuit in the big blind. Now, Kale's tough, but he's dominated here. So is this the time where Kale's going to defend?
I can certainly see him defending here.
Yeah, he's tough player, and he's going to defend his big blind, and he's well behind in this hand. So Johan and Kale, we're going to go to a flop. Kale with 1.3 million in chips, and Johan with 2.1. Flop is a king in the door, so the flop is King 7 deuce. Pretty dry flop. but Johan hits it pretty hard. You hear all the vibe in the background. Kale checks his queen, back to Johan. Is he going to lead? Continuation bet. Sure he will, but it's a pretty dry flop, so what'll the bet be? The pot's 220. Can't imagine he's going to take a really big stab because I don't think there's much there. He only bets 75, so a very thin value bet. Doesn't figure Kale for much, so he's going to see if he can get Kale to jump in, but there's really nothing there to fight for, so Kale rather disappointingly flicks his cards into the middle and says, maybe next time.
We've got a Phase 2 satellite to the main event over to our right at the moment. There's also a 10-seat guarantee satellite in the main poker room area as well. So there's plenty happening here at the moment, Paul, not to mention the tournament we're covering now, the 5K. It's been a busy day here in the Crown Poker Room. Again, another one.
Yeah, it's just such a great vibe when you look around you here. And tomorrow's just going to be really excited about this table, and I'm really excited about tomorrow because we've got both the 25K challenge starting, which will attract the big names. Let's talk about a couple of those names. We've talked about Joe, and of course, for those of you who don't know this, which would surprise me, you don't have to just worry about Joe Hasham anymore. You've got to worry about the whole Hasham family because they can all play, and there's more of them. So there's an entourage, and they're all going to be playing the main by the sounds of things. Joe told me two of his boys are definitely going to be playing. You've got Tony here, who's a two-time ANZ PT Player of the Year. We know Tony's not to be messed around with, but you've also got probably the biggest name in poker at the moment, which is Michael Mizraki. The grinder is here. And can't wait to bring him to the table, can't wait to interview him and talk about his year. But we'll just quickly join the action because Billy's got that look again. He's got Queen Jack of Hearts, and I think this time he's going to play. You'll notice, for those at home, if you can't notice that, they're two crocodiles. So Billy the Croc is true to his word. He's got a bag of paraphernalia and he pulls it out every time. So he raises it up to 100,000. Arm on here with a suited connector. Now 9-10 of clubs. They're having a chat again. The big blind is 40k, so Billy at 2.5 BBs.
Very tough to do much with 9-10 suited with a 14 big blind stack there.
Yeah, it's
as pretty as it is.
Kale with not much. I'm sure will fold and round to Ben. Pretty stoic look about him.
They should have 15 seconds raise first in.
Doesn't like his big blind being raised. And for those at home who are aspiring poker players, big blind defending is an art. That is a tough thing. You don't want to mess around with the big blind of players. They'll eventually play back at you, but Billy takes it down. So once again, the crocodiles work. First prize, $482,000 in change. Van still sits on 2.5 million. Johan at 2.3. Billy the Crockett just under $1 million. Everybody's seeming pretty comfortable. So tomorrow we've got the 25k buy-in. So that's if you're at home and you've got a spare 25,000, by all means, just rock up to Crown and we can accommodate you. But then we've got the final table of this event. So we're going to run them simultaneously. We're going to run the final table for the 5k, and we're going to keep you updated with our Poker News crew, who are quite amazing and really doing some great stuff. So if you want to look at some of the website links and the videos and the photos, Crown are doing some terrific stuff on Facebook, and then you've got the Poker News crew, our partners, Poker Media Australia, of course, representing. So Crown really got have pulled out all stops, and the partnerships are working really hard. Pepperstone is one of those partners as well, in and around. Van Marcus, Jack 9 of diamonds, will raise it up to 90,000. Van hasn't really played much in the last sort of half an hour, so it's interesting to see if Van picks up the pace. Really good at changing pace.
Will he find any action? Not from Armin, he won't.
staff, too many moving parts, too hard to get it.
Too many new members every year, every year.
Actually, I don't think it's like a hand to hand. Every time in the big field, it's like, oh, we're going to do a count, the number 0 right? Oh, we're already in the money. Every time.
Ben does look very comfortable, doesn't he? He's quite relaxed. And Ben Pocket with the Queens, with the Pocket Queens. He's picked up a hand.
Gee, Van might have timed this pretty poorly, but I don't know if he'll get to it. Will Ben slow play it, or will he raise it up? It's the same look he had when Billy raised his big blind. Now, Ben in the small blind, counting out some chips, looks like a raise. He's going to 3-bet Billy. Van, beg your pardon.
It's a 340,000.
That's a big bet, 340, so he's sizing it up. This one isn't thin at all. Background of Van Marcus.
Out of position, doesn't really want to give Van a chance to call for the cheap.
Interesting how it looks like quite a sizable sort of protective bet, which can sometimes tempt a player, especially someone like Van. You don't have to worry about Van and fear. It's about Van really feeling comfortable enough to play this hand. He's got position, but Van's going to avoid the spot, which is a very sensible fold. And that's what the good players do. They fold when they know they're behind.
We've got Michael Mizraki, of course, who you were mentioning earlier. Paul he won the Poker Players Championship for the 4th time at the World Series last year for 1.3 million. Then he took down the main event for another 10 million. He's currently playing a $280 satellites at the moment. Am I right? I think he just has the poker bug at the moment. Feels like playing a few cards.
Yeah, by all accounts, I'm really looking for. By all accounts, a very easygoing guy. Really looking forward to getting to into the story of the last 12 months, and then of course Michael the Grinder has got stories dating back long time.
Well, be sure to jump onto Poker Media Australia. I interviewed Michael Mizraki a few weeks ago prior to coming out here. Jump on and have a look at that interview. He was in Colombia at that time, actually.
Yeah, lucky
he's got a property there in Colombia.
What a life you live, honestly.
Like Michael Mizraki.
Yeah, I agree.
Vamos, Sergio. We've got some messages coming in from the viewers.
How would you confirm it?
I mean, now that you
Vamos.
slightly, but at the moment,
Turn on the lights.
I think it's like
I just bet $100 because I can see you broke.
I mean, if you bet enough, obviously you could, right? Possible. But I'm not going to bet everything on it. So,
Plenty of chatter in the room, Paul. Plenty of talk at the tape.
I'm pretty sure he watches like no social media at all.
Yeah, I was going to say that. He wouldn't even watch Strike on, I think.
He doesn't do social media. He hates it all.
It's one of those things about poker that you're always fascinated by when you watch it. They don't look like they're taking it seriously, but there is a gear change in every one of them as soon as they look at those cards. Those brains go to work, and they're assessing so much information so quickly, so much quicker than anyone else. They do it almost effortlessly. You know, their radars are on. You've got to be very careful.
People I'm playing against, or some online cash games.
Ben thinking about a raise here. He's got 6-4 off suit, so this is when players just start to sort of sense that there isn't a lot of action, might pick up some blinds. The blinds are very valuable. This is what the top players know how to get pots. They don't always challenge the big pots. They just know when the timing is, but sometimes they get it wrong, sometimes they get it right. Round to Johan with King-9 off suit in the small blind. You'll notice that they also are very good at sensing when players do that, so then they re-raise them, try and take it away, and then the fun really begins. Johan gets out of the way, round to Paris, King Deuce of clubs. Will he defend? He's only got 330,000 left, but he's in the big blind. He's thinking to himself, it's not going to cost me much, really. Should I play the hand with him, maybe get some value? It looks like he's going to call, so he's going to defend his big blind. A short stack sometimes does this because He's already very invested in the hand, so he might as well just put a little bit more in and maybe he strikes that flop. Pot is 220,000 and the flop is King, Queen, 5. So there you go. Immediately, Paris taking the lead. It's exactly what he would have wanted. It's exactly what he's looking for. So Ben now the aggressor, and of course Paris could set a trap.
They're here in Australia the Sunday morning.
And he checks. Over to Ben. Will he continuation bet?
2 in the morning.
Ben narrows his eyes. Right, he's going to fire. With 6-4 offsuit, he's going to take a stab at the pot now. Figures it's his best time to try and do that. Now, the pot, 265,000. Paris with top pair and 290 in his stack.
So the question is, does Paris just call here or does he ship it in?
Well, if he calls here with a short stack, and the bet is 45,000, it was a very small bet. You know, is he going to risk it? Or is he going to try and take it down now? He's got to assume he's got the best hand. Then again, you never know. But that's the kind of, look at this, he's thrown in a time card, buy a bit more time. You can see the clock on the table, 30 seconds to act. Years ago, that was not enough time. Now players can do that in 5 seconds because they're just so much more advanced. So Paris really dragging this out. It's at least a call, but will he fire and just try and take it away from Ben now? Little as you know, Ben doesn't have much, but right now he's trying to think, how do I get the most out of this hand? Looks like we've got a player on the move. In seat 5, we lose our player from Mexico, Sergio. We might see him a little bit later, playing very well. Once again, takes a look at his cards. And he moves all in. He's not going to waste any time. And look, Ben takes a look and gets out of the way. So nicely played by Paris, really defended his blind, looked for something. And he's moved himself up just a little bit there, VPIP. So that's the voluntary putting yourself chips in the pot. That's basically measures aggression, guys, for the guys at home, which is really important to understand how active a player is, how often they voluntarily put their chips in the pot. It's an interesting stat.
I try to move back.
There's so many of them.
There's many stats in poker. Yeah, some valuable chips there for Paris. He's almost doubled up just about. He was quite short before, so
sure has.
A nice little pick up there. Buys himself a bit more time.
So who are you liking for the main at the moment? Who do you like? I know we talk about the big names, right? It's easy to do, but we talked about Van and his form. I did notice Joe was also in the 5K and he was accumulating chips, and Joe looked very comfortable. He's just changed tables not long ago, and I'm not sure whether that's changed the dynamic, but he was looking in a groove. I said to you just before we started the coverage, I've got this feeling that Joe and Van might time their runs to meet at the final table. I don't know. They both look like their games are on.
Hey, I mean, it's very hard to pick a winner from a field of. I mean, we could have 700 runners in this Aussie Millions main event.
Amazing.
But if we look at, someone like a Malcolm Trainer, for example, won his first bracelet at the WSOP last year, is one of the real rising superstars of the Australian scene. Certainly, I'd keep my eyes on someone like Malcolm. You wouldn't want to be running a book on the Aussie Millions. I mean, how do you run it?
Well, you might. You'd do well, I think.
You'd probably do very well. But you might run into the Leicester issue from the Premier League many years ago.
Oh my goodness!
At 5,000 to 1.
Oh, the bookies would have absolutely loved that. Here's Kale. Hasn't been all that active, but Kale's very, very patient. Picked up Queen 10 offsuit. He's going to raise it up.
Well, I'd love to see Didier Guerin, a very popular player on the circuit, fellow Sydney sider, good friend. I'd like to see him have a very deep run in the main event. I saw that. Haven't actually seen him here this week, although I know he is here. I saw that he busted Michael Mizrachi today in a pot. Right. But I haven't bumped into him yet. But I'd love to see Didier do well.
You bust Michael at this time of the year, I reckon you go and get a tattoo with a date on it and the hand. Back to the action. Carl Burns with Queen 10 offsuit, raises it up in the hijack. pretty standard for Kale. And Paris has picked up pocket fives in the small blind, so Paris back again, thinking about it. He's only got 535,000, but it would only be another 50k, I think, for him to call this. Pot's already 190, must be tempted, whether he wants to either call or jam to try and put the pressure back on Kale. It's tough, right? Let's see what Paris does this time. He's thrown in a time card, so he wants time to think about it.
10 seconds.
Oh, he gets out of the way. He's not going to mess with him. That's passive. Very passive.
Question in
Van, with ace 3 offsuit. Don't reckon Van's going to play a weak ace in the big blind, although, no, gets out of the way.
Just a question in from John. John, what was the starting stake? The starting stake was 250k in this event. So certainly very deep to start.
That's a good question. The structures, the depth of the stacks, lots of, that's one of the things I've loved most about the Aussie Minis over the years. And when I was beginning to understand the game a very, very, very long time ago, structure was one of the most important things, getting that value, understanding when, what you were buying into. There are tournaments and then there are tournaments. And this is one of them, right, where you want time to try and iron out your mistakes, because all players make them. But the question is, if the structure is forgiving, it gives you time. And the Aussie Mini's got the best structures out there, so love this tournament. So happy it's back. Crown presented an amazing story bringing this back, and of course with the support of Crown Bet.
And I do love a freeze out. I mean, we've seen so many re-entry events these days.
You're right.
Trying to maximise prize pools, and that's understandable from the operator side of things. But a good old-fashioned freeze out is still a lot of fun.
Brings it back to a level playing field.
It does. It does. It takes away that advantage that professional players can often have over someone just taking their shot. May not be able to buy in multiple times. How many in the money? Good question. There are 55 players in the money. The minimum payout will be $10,245. So 66 left. We're 11 away from the money. So it'll be interesting to see as they get close to that bubble whether play just tightens up a fraction.
Ben Pocket raising it up to 80,000 in the hijack. Folds around to Paris. Gets out of the way. So Ben taking it down. No, Paris has still got his cards. Surely. He hasn't looked at them yet. Watch this. Nostradamus. Big blind. And gets out of the way. Round to Van. A weak queen. Look at this. Queen deuce. Van, has he sniffed out Ben's raise? Is he going after it? He is. He's 3-bet him with Queen deuce of spades. So Van starting to flex here.
Any little frisky as well.
Yeah. And around to Billy with 8-6 offsuit. Billy removes the crocodiles. Looks a bit frustrated. I reckon Billy has got a read on both of them here.
He just gave Van a little look there, as if to say, what are you up to, Van?
Either that or I was going to do that. And Ben gets out of the way, so Van, great instincts, pick it up. So maybe Billy was genuinely had the same read as Van. Very nice play. Van still with 2.5 million. Paris the short stack, but fighting. On with just about 500,000, just a little bit more, and Billy with about 905,000. Again, first prize, $482,000 for a 5k entry. It's just remarkable. Really, really great prize pool. Second, just under 300,000 at 290k, and third at 188,000, which is almost the same as the first prize last night in the 2.5k. Shout out to our boy in Mexico last night, Diego Ponce, who took down that event. Played really well. Great final table to watch, actually. Cal Burns has picked up pocket 10s. 1.4 million in chips. He's going to play.
You're telling me that you're going to take like 30 and then all of a sudden you free bet and then
The last thing you want is for Cal Burns to have a hand.
Raises it up to 90,000. Bet sizing so important to these players. That's how they get their first read on you. Be careful with that. Folds around to Paris with an 8-4 of clubs. Gets out of the way, round to Van. He's not going to fight. See a bad time. Well, look at this, Billy the Croc with King Jack of Diamonds. He might see a bit of action here.
Yeah, I think he might take a look at this flop. Billy?
You're like, you want to skip through the cup thing?
Yeah, a bit of a think. Thinking hard here, Billy.
You never want to get caught off, you know, no matter what. Yeah, you know.
When was the last time you like
Just shuffling his time cards. Time bank.
That's when your heart like really gives good. I feel alive.
I love the addition of the shot clock, actually. We've seen the past few years tanking become pretty excessive in a lot of events. It was the talk of the WSOP last year. None other than Australia's own Adrian Attenborough a couple of years ago in the WSOP tanked for almost 20 minutes a couple of times.
Crazy stuff, right?
So, yeah, the shot clock is a great way to fix that problem. Not everybody loves it, but I think most people do.
And look at this, Billy. Tight fold. Doesn't want to defend. He's going to pick the right spot.
Yeah, that's an interesting fold by Crocky.
Of course, Billy was the first to say, this table, you know, when we looked at him. So he's very aware he's amongst some really good players. So maybe just taking that line of caution more than he normally would. It's a sign of respect, let me tell you. So we've got arm on with Queen 9 offsuit. He's in the big blind, and he's either not looked, so we're just waiting to see. He's going to take a look. No, he has had a look, and he's just paused it out to let him know he doesn't like it. So Cale takes it down with pocket tens. Van Marcus 2.5. Arm on the short stack. Paris just behind. $500,000. Now, let's talk about the total prize pool. 2.1 million total prize pool in this event. That's just crazy stuff.
We've seen record-breaking events all the way through so far, Paul. The first 3 or 4 events smashed the previous records. The opening event was 2,144 runners. The previous record of that event previously was just a little over 1,700. You know, just smashing records all the way along.
And what do we think for the main, Ben? How many do you think we get? I mean, we're starting to try and run a poll, you know, internally. There's 2 polls. How many tickets are we going to get to the main event, and how many steps does Danny McDonough do in one day?
Well, let's start with Danny McDonough's steps, because he's been running back and forth like a madman, back and forth past us multiple times, with a very serious look on his face. He's in the zone, Danny. Like he'd have to be 30,000.
That was the first go.
30,000 plus. I don't think it'd be anything under that.
Look at this. Van Marcus raises it up to 90,000 with a weak ace, and Billy's picked up pocket jacks right next to him.
Historically, they got like 800-ish, and they had
Van with 2.5 million in chips.
Now they've got less
Billy,
lighters, and they're not all unique.
885,000. Takes a look at Van.
Everything's unlimited rebuys. Back in the day.
Billy ain't going to let this go. So the question is, how big's the raise?
That's what I mean, like the record.
It's the first time back. It's not the genuine.
There's no way Billy's just going to call here.
Make a good case for like. I definitely like under 7.
Van looks down, and he raises it up.
A week and a half ago, and that they had 205.
270,000 is the bet.
I think 150 unique.
Folds around to arm on with 9-7 offsuit, taking his time. He usually does this and then folds.
That was before everyone got here. Like all so probably 200 now every night.
Some players really have this routine, right? They're very structured, very disciplined, make sure that they don't do anything different every hand as to not give anything away.
You know, it's sometimes the process is just stop first. Before you do anything, just stop.
Just take your time.
Wait.
Cale bursts with pocket sixes here.
It's a very interesting spot.
Yeah. In the face of a raise and a re-raise, though, can't see Cale calling. Unless he really thinks Van might call behind. Or is he planning a move? He's going to have a long, hard think about what he wants to do here. He's picked up a hand, but Cale might just go, hang on a sec, I'm talking about Van Marcus and Billy the Croc. Do I want to get stuck in between them? Is my hand strong enough? Probably not. Round back to Van now. Takes a look at him and takes a look straight at his chip stack. For those at home who want to understand this game, these guys really look at stacks like how many decisions are in those stacks. When you start really understanding players have so many decisions in their stacks, it really does take
Unless like for some reason it's really good.
It really does take you to a whole new level. Van looks at his stack and folds because he probably makes it out that Billy doesn't really want to raise here unless he's going to get involved. So, question from the chat, how many entries for the main event, Satellite? 10-seat guarantee started at 2:30 p.m. We'll find that out for you.
We will find that out as soon as we track down some staff here at Crown. Yeah, it's quite a big raise there by Billy. I think that he was sending a message that he wasn't folding. So I think Van picked that up pretty quickly. Full 3x, 3-bet.
Yeah, he said if I win, what I
So Billy picks up a few more chips.
And how many players in the money? You said that before, Ben, didn't you? How many of these guys are getting paid?
55 players will make the money, so we're still 11. It's 11 players shy of that mark, not too far off the bubble.
I think that's miles actually. I think we'll get above average.
When I FT'd the 6 backs this week,
Pretty sure.
last time
We're
you've seen
short
this
of
position relevant for me, I was
40,004.
So last time you've seen this position relevant for me,
I do recall that.
Which one? Taylor?
That was a 2.5.
You won?
Lots of action on the floor tonight.
Did have Paul.
Gee, it's been a busy day here at Crown. Each day just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah.
and then I had Dar.
It's a great result for the team. I mean, we're talking before you asked the question, how many players do you think will get in the main event? I know that they were hoping for 400 originally. That was when they first started, 400 or so, 450 they would have been very happy with. I think that expectation has been blown out of the water.
Wow.
I think we're getting up close to around 400 satellite entries already.
That's amazing.
So I think the expectation is more around the 700 mark now.
Oh, that's incredible.
I mean, maybe that's the over-under mark, is the 700.
Yeah, oh, look, if they get close to 700 for this event, that's really taking Aussie Millions back to where the pinnacle it was, you know.
Main event, yeah. That was a dream main event.
Some of the best players. I remember the final table in 2010, you know, Tony Bloom from, I think it was, which Premier League club is it Brighton? Yeah. You know, you had Dan Shack, Phil Ivey, some really big names around the world all playing. And those fields were around about the 700 mark. I think Tyrone Cross took it down that year, and I think he's in the field. And we've got to ask Tyrone about his ticket because there's an interesting story around that. I'll let Ben tell that story. That's a really cool story.
Well, I'm going to catch up with Tyrone about that because the year that he won, Crown had a little promotion. If you win the Aussie Millions main event this year, you win lifetime entry.
Oh, you've got to
into the
cash
main
that
event.
into this year. He would have been salivating when they brought this tournament back.
I think he was waiting anxiously for the past 6 years to... He was like, where did my prize go?
Good on you, Tyrone. I remember taking him into the elevator when he'd won the event, and it was just me and him. And he was a very humble guy. I'm sure he still is. And the first thing I said to him is, how do you feel? And he said, I can't stop smiling. He just won, I think it was about 1.6 million. Maybe more, actually. But
I mean, you come into an event like this and every player dreams of winning the main event. But most of the time you realise what a challenge, how unlikely that really is. Someone's going to win it, but you've got to navigate a lot to get there.
Very interesting hand developing here. Small blind, big blind. Ben with Queen 9 of clubs has flopped a flush draw. Cale Burns with Queen Deuce. Action on the small blind. He checks around to Ben, who's flopped a flush draw. Is he going to bet out here? Is he going to check? There's 120k. They're kind of playing small.
Hello, Danny.
A small hand here, but these can quickly turn into a much bigger hand. He bets over to Cale. Scratches his head and says, what could you have? And he goes, let's go. We'll fight another day. Here, mate. Take my chips. I'll get them back later. I'm sure that's what Cale's thinking. So arm on with 445,000 brings up the short. Stacks Parrish just behind him. Billy just over $1 million now. Van still around that 2.5 million mark. So some steady play. The field is narrowing as we speak.
The all-time record for the Aussie Millions main event field was 822 players.
I remember that. Yeah. What year was that, Ben?
2019.
Oh, wow.
That was the year. Bryn Kenny, I believe, was the winner.
No, I'm coming back. I'll text you in an hour, yeah.
Change of dealers.
I think he jinxed it. I think he jinxed it. Yeah. It's real awkward to now, like, 3 minutes later. Because the universe is going to be like, huh, how funny is this going to be?
You get onto the final table here and you're guaranteed a minimum $43,000 payday for a 5K entry. Pretty amazing. But like last night, I think the last prize on the final table for the 2.5K was $16,000 for ninth. The first prize was $169, so pretty steep.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that at this level, those the players that make the final table will firmly have their eyes set on that top prize, $482,000.
I don't know any of his friends. I just know him.
You're put the hardwood on the amazing bales.
Still got a vacant seat, but I reckon we're going to fill that pretty soon. Danny's probably working on that right now. As these tables are breaking, Danny McDonough's toughest job is always balancing these tables. His players are constantly busting from tournaments. Got to move those tables and around, break them, balance them. It's such a tough job. That's why he gets about 30,000 steps a day. So you've got to hand it to him. You've got to be always on the ball. Him and Matt Savage, probably, I call them equal for the 2 best TDs in the world.
Yep, there's plenty of experience in this room, not just in player strength, but also in the organisers here.
Yeah, definitely.
And Danny is one of the best.
Round to Billy, Queen 8 offsuit in the hijack.
No, Mandy could be others.
My league legend name is
He's got 1.1 million in chips. Now, we haven't seen Billy playing the raise game in position because he's been rather short stacked, but now he's starting to accumulate, so he might start to think, folds around to him, medium-sized strength hand, should I raise it up? No, he's going to err to the side of caution again. So I think Billy sort of keeping that gear consistent right now. This arm on once again, same discipline, take his time. Doesn't react any differently every time. Puts the cards back, waits about 10 or 15 seconds and then acts, which I think is really admirable. Very disciplined. Whether he raises or whether he folds.
Other things is a scammer, but doesn't every poker player is a scammer?
Not everyone's stealing off their next
Enjoying the table talk.
Yeah, that too. It's not a bad table to sit at if you want to just enjoy a game of cards, let me tell you. Folds to Kale, Jack 5. He's got the button, but he's going to let it go. Don't be too stubborn about his position. Ben, 7-3 offsuit. Sorry, I beg your pardon. 7-3 of spades. And he's going to complete. He's going to call, so round to Johan in the big blind with King 3. Johan really thinking about it here. Does he defend, or is he going to play a hand with Ben? And he's going to raise it up. Defend. Got to like this from Johan. He's not just going to let Ben play. Ben's looking straight at his chips and straight across at Johan, so we might see a bit of action. Ben looking at his chips. It's funny how these hands between small blind and big blind and a little bit of pokery buggery and look at that, Ben doesn't like to play back. So for those at home who wonder why do they do that, well, they're kind of teasing each other out for the big moment where they do finally take each other on. So pre-flop raises there, you can see Ben Pocket sort of the most aggressive, you know, with 33%. It gives you a really good indication of how active these players are. And sometimes they change gears, so you won't always see that aggression. New play coming in.
Thank you to our viewers out there. There's been a few questions coming in. There was a question earlier about the 10-seat guarantee. I can tell you there were 562 entries into the 10-seat guarantee. That is a $550 buy-in satellite. So another monster event here at Crown. We will be streaming all the way through until the end of the Aussie Millions next Sunday.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. There's so much poker.
Full coverage of the main event. We'll be having a lot of special guests during that time. We'll be welcoming certainly our Aussie Millions ambassadors. We can expect Van Marcus will be joining us when he's not.
Well, the way he's playing, he might not get here.
He might not get a chance. We hope to get Joe Hasham onto the stream. We certainly will be looking at getting Michael Mizraki onto the stream. We'll be bringing on some event winners on to have a chat to us at various stages throughout the week. We might have a few special celebrity guests along the way.
Billy the Croc, I'm going to get him in the chair. Don't you worry about
Certainly
that.
Billy is going to be joining us when the time is right. We'll certainly be getting some of the Crown staff on here, some of the executives to talk about bringing the Aussie Millions back and what's gone into the making of this event. And we might even just have a few random off-the-cuff guests that join us now and again.
Just catching up with the action, and Luka Jumic, I hope I'm saying that correctly, has joined the table, picked up pocket eights and moved in. So the table's looking at him and sort of going, are you serious? You've just joined us. So the new player, Luka, has just sat down. He's moved all in for 565,000. He's got a hand, he's got pocket eights. But he's really announced himself to the table, folds around to Billy, gets rid of his dominated ace. Now you've got Armon with a weak ace. Frankie B is in the house, always looking for a story, and he'll always find one. So Frankie, I must say, is like a bloodhound. If something's going on the tournament floor, Frankie will know about it. Oh my goodness, Frankie's family is here. They look much smarter than Frankie, respectfully. Sorry to the listeners. Lovely to see. Folds around to Kale. Is Luca going to take down his first hand? Paris with a squeeze.
No side.
He likes the first card, but I don't think he's going to like the second one.
Not so much.
No.
He thought he'd had queens. So,
no side picture. Are you kidding?
welcome Luca, takes it down.
I was so ready.
And Paris the short stack, Armon and Luca. So we'll see some action between those guys because you're seeing them around 8 and anywhere between 8 and 14 big blinds. Those players will feel a little bit of pressure, but they know how to survive. Some encouragement for Luca in the chat. Some fans, which is always great to see.
I mean, it's the value of patience, isn't it? When you're riding a short stack is just waiting for the right time, not stacking off unnecessarily.
That's a very good point. This technique makes it what, 10,300? Yeah, that's very good.
You can use this tournament credits. It's worth 10 6.
I know Croc, and his answer is booked.
What would you do with 482,000, Paul?
Well, the first thing I have to do is ring my wife and negotiate the portion.
I thought you were going to say you ring your wife and say we'll be back in 6 months.
No, I think, no. My wife would immediately, this is the good news about my wife, we'd have a negotiation.
Right.
But because she's such a kind woman, she'll eventually just give you more anyway, which is exactly why I married her. And I'm trying to get into heaven, but I have my beautiful boys thanks to her. Van Marcus has raised it up to 100,000 pocket kings. And puts a chip on there. Oh, this would be a bad time for a squeeze. He thinks Van's just raising light here. Armon, now we don't know because Armon goes through that same process. Is he going to do this and then fold? But it would be easy here for Armon to think that Van doesn't have a hand. But it looks like he's going to let it go.
Maybe I might have like, I don't know.
Round to Kale, weak queen, gets it out of the way. Round to Ben Pocket, 7 high, gets out of the way. Johan, 6 high, so no action so far. Paris with ace 10. And a raise from Van Marcus. Now Paris is the short stack. He's got 410,000. He's starting to think about, is this the moment? Paris has had a few of these moments. Is he going to pick them up and go, yeah, I think Van's raising light here. He looked at the clock. Or is he going to be stubborn, or is he going to be patient? It would be easy for him to think a 3-bet might take it down.
Yeah,
But he makes a good decision.
A lot to think about there. I mean, the bubble is approaching. I'm sure that's what he was checking.
Whoa, well, Luca, we've seen he's joined the table and gotten straight into the action. He's picked up ace jack. He's also a short stack. My goodness. Is he going to walk into this? Again, it would be very easy for them to dismiss Van's raise. You never know. Active players, it's very hard to tell. Lucas just sat down, won a hand. He's got a little bit of confidence looking around. He's got his chips in his hand. Is this a moment where Lucas says, okay, I'm going to keep going? Would be a bad time. He'd be a big underdog. Let's see what Luca does here. Puts the cards back. Raised 100,000 from Van. He's got a monster.
Van making sure not to give anything away.
These players are... some of these players should really be great actors. With some of the preparation. Have a look at this. Luca calls the raise. So, cautious short stack play. Flop. Ace 7, 3, 2 clubs. So, out flopping Van Marcus. Incredible. Luca taking the cautious route with a short stack. Doesn't want to give his stack away. Has outflopped Van. Takes a look at his cards. Yeah, Van will be a bit dirty when he
won't like
goes
that
to
ace.
showdown.
He's like every poker player in the world. When you've got kings, there is definitely an ace hitting the flop.
Listen, I still, 30 years and I still haven't figured out how to play queens. So it's a check from Luca. He's setting a trap, one would think. Van betting only 80,000, a very, very small value bet. So Van representing the ace here. That might scare Luca a bit, but surely Luca's got the flop he wants. Now is it a check raise? Is he going to take this down right now? There's 350k, 355,000 in the middle. And he moves all in, and look at Van. Van knows immediately. And he throws his cards away in disgust.
We've all been there, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you, Van. Very nice play from Luca, though, because he's joined the table and picked up about 400k in chips. So Luca's got a bit of momentum going.
Yeah, back up to 18 big blind. It's enough to play with.
Van still with a very healthy stack of 2.3 million and change. Billy the Croc just over $1 million. Ben Pocket at 1.2. Kale at 1.3. Johan 2.2. Paris the short stack at 410. Showing great patience there. Satellite players on a break. Tomorrow's going to be amazing action as well. 25k starts tomorrow. 25,000 entry. And then, of course, the final table of the 5k, which we're going to keep information coming from both sides. We're going to feature the final table for the 5k, so hopefully some of these players will be on it, what a story that will be, and then we're going to bring you all the action as well and the updates from the 25k.
I'm expecting that to be a particularly high quality field in that 25k. I think we'll see some huge names.
Yeah, really looking forward to that field.
Of course, we'll bring you, as Paul said, we'll bring you coverage of the 5k and the 25k tomorrow. We'll make sure you're updated with everything that's happening across the room, so you don't miss out on a single thing. And we'll certainly be having some special guests on the stream tomorrow too, Paul. So look forward to having some pretty big names join us as well.
Yeah, it's definitely the feel of the tournament really interesting at the moment because we're right here in the action. So the desk is not your conventional setup desk for play-by-play. Anything could happen. I think we're open about that, and we know that. So look out this week for all the action. Definitely strange things will happen from the tournament floor. Get some interviews that might just pop up. We're going to get some of our Poker News crew in here as well. Carl Burns raising it up to 110,000. And Harris, he got a small pocket pair of fours at 410k. And once again, he's in the similar spot he had earlier where he's got a small hand. Is this one of those moments where he thinks, should I re-raise? Last time he did this, he called. Looked at a flop.
Yeah, he was in a big blind at that stage. This is a very much a shovel or fold situation for him now.
I would agree. Is this the moment? Tough decision.
Thinking long and hard is Paris. He lets it go.
They've come a long way. It's not, patience is really paying off for some of these players. You want to see quality patience, just look at Jordan Tentori's run yesterday. Surpassed so many players on that final table with so little in chips to get himself nearly 50k. Amazing. Well done, Jordan.
Not long to extended break. You're well over the hump. Almost 7 hours out of 11 hours of play.
Danny McDonough on the microphone. Keeping it real for our players. Carl Byrne raising it up with ace-9 offsuit. Folds around to Van Marcus with queen-jack offsuit. Two incredibly strong players are going to go and see a flop. So Van defending his big blind. He'll like this position here. Dangerous hand to play, of course. The flop, a queen-7 deuce. So Van out flopping Kale. Now let's see the magic happen between these two incredible players. How they're going to play it. Van quickly checks to Kale. Kale now thinking about the amount, 295,000 in the pot. A lot of these players are sizing up that bet, trying to really think about what signal I'm going to send when I bet. Kale betting 75,000. Pretty small bet. Can look like a value bet. When I say value bet, please call. is the signal you send. Van quickly calls, so being very cautious, and look at that. Van not raising, not taking an aggressive line. The turn comes an ace. Van checks again. Kale takes the lead on the turn.
But like cooler ones actually, whatever.
Be interested to see if Kale will bet again or just try and trap and check it back.
Looks like he's going to bet flop. Out flop by Van, and then he takes the lead on the turn. Bets 215,000. Van won't like that at all. That's the second time in a short succession that Van looks at an ace with disdain.
And now Van has to decide if he's just representing the ace or if he's really got it.
Van's
looks him up.
Van's coming in. He's going to call, so we're going to see a river. It is a 9 of spades, so no help for Van. Kale with the winning hand, assuming showdown. Van quickly checks again, and now 875,000 in the middle. Kale really long thinking about this. Is he going to value bet Van, or does he think Van might have a hand good enough? Kale wants to. He's really thinking hard, so he puts a time card in to buy another 30 seconds.
Just a clarification on that 25k structure, all players seated at the start will get 500 back.
Kale really taking his time here, trying to figure out whether there's a bet size that he thinks he can extract the most value or whether he thinks Van is trapping him. Now he checks finally, so he can't really put Van on a hand here, and I think 1 cent, look at that, Van shows openly in terms of expression and folds his hand. So Kale wins with ace 9. I think Van and Kale played a very interesting hand there. Kale probably knew he was ahead, but was just very wary. That is a sign of respect, right? So Johan Lee's now the most chips on the table with 2.2. Van Marcus with 1.8. Billy the Croc with $1 million. And Kale's moved it up to 1.8 also. So some really good quality play here. A bit of back and forth between the players, which is part of the game. Luke has come down and sat down with 4,500 and he's up to 870 now. Field started 464, now only 62 players. So we're really close to the bubble.
Yeah, we're about 40 minutes from a break. I don't think we'll get to the bubble by then, but certainly players will be starting to think about that. Getting into the money, minimum payout. 55 players make the money, minimum payday of $10,245. But of course, everybody will have their eyes on that 482,000 plus first prize.
Action on, it looks like it's, we're looking at Armand here. Under the gun, folds, round to Kale, gets out of the way. Then pocket. Out of the way, Johan. Not a lot of action from Johan, also being very, very patient. Round to Paris. Takes a quick look. And looks at the clock, always a sign. Just waiting for the RFID cards to tell us what he's holding, but he looks very interested. And he's checking that clock and that timing, because of course we know blinds go up and pressure mounts and all of those things, but Paris is taking also air to the side of caution. Luca, raggy hand. And look at this, Luca having a thinking about it. He's got Van Marcus and Billy the Croc to his left. I don't envy him.
That's sick, that is sick.
Let's see whether Luca tries to take some chips here. He must be pausing and thinking about it, but no, gets out of the way. Round to Van. Queen high. Do love the banter between Van and Billy, both. Just so much experience, really. He raises it up to 175,000, just wants his blind. Billy takes a look at him. He's got a interesting hand. They used to call that the Dolly Parton for those of those who are old enough to remember. Dolly's still around. 9 and 5 of diamonds. Don't like to show my age, but that's the reality of it.
We won't talk about that.
Billy gets out of the way, Van takes it down.
A couple of times Van has taken the opportunity to put a bit of pressure on, raising out of the blinds.
Van changing gears a little bit there, probably steaming a little bit after the king's hand, and then getting out turned by Kale with an ace against his queen jack when he defended and not raised. So Van picking up the blinds, that'll make him feel better. 61 remain. On the way to crowning our next Aussie Millions champ next week in the main event, but of course this is event number 2, and the first prize will pay you a very comfortable $482,000 and change. Second prize, 290. Third prize, 188. Action on Kale Burns. King 5 of hearts. Looks like he's going to raise it up under the gun. It's aggressive play.
Yeah, wanting to mix it up a bit, Kale.
These players are so good at doing that. Under the gun, assumes a strong hand. Very early position. Very clever play. Might be picking up that the tables become a little bit tight, a little bit passive. You can hear all the action on the floor, announcements. We've got satellites going on. We've got other tables in the 5K. We'll bring you all of those updates as they come through. Anything that happens, Frankie B out there. Got a couple of the other younger boys who are going to help us at the commentary desk go through the night as these nights become longer and longer. I think Josh and Jackson, two young men, definitely can put us out of the job. They'll join the desk, take us into the night. Did a great job last night.
Just watching a few of the players walking past our desk as well. I've seen Martin Kozlov walk past. Nick Williams, for all of you Adelaide crew here. Of course, Joe Sandayev is around. One of the Adelaide Crushers. I saw Jared Graham earlier.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen Jared this year. Be good to see him. Yes, agree. In the chat, we're not quite at the bubble. 55 is the bubble. So, inching closer. Probably why we're seeing the play slow down. To the comments in the chat, agree. So, Kale's raised it up with King 5 under the gun. On now 345,000 in chips. So he's only got just under 7 big blinds here. He's picked up an ace in the big blind, but I'm not really sure how he can consider a raise. But look at this. Armon looks like he's going to defend. So he's kind of looking to do what Paris did earlier and maybe catch the flop rather than commit himself pre-flop against Cale Burns, who's now climbed himself back up to about 1.7 million in chips. We're going to see it flop. Remember, Armon only has just under 300,000, and the pot is 295. So the flop is a 5-3-4. So Cale catching top pair, but Armon with a straight draw. So this could get more interesting, but I'm not sure what the play is here for Armon.
Well, he's got the double gutter, as they say. He's got the ace as the overcard, but Cale has outflopped him at this stage. And
really, if he checks here, he knows Cale's going to bet. Is he giving up the hand by doing that? Is it not the flop he needed? I would argue so. Unless Cale, well, he's caught a good piece of it, so I'd expect Cale here to bet. Unless, of course, he thinks Armon's trapping him. But Cale's got some chips, so he's going to put him to the test and ask the question. He makes the bet. Pot's 295, Cale bets.
And he goes in. Armon has gone all in, I believe.
And look at this. Cale calls, so Armon in on the draw. Well, lots of cards he can catch. An ace, a 7, a 6, a deuce. Lots of cards that he can catch. The turn, a repeat 5, making Cale's hand stronger, and the river is a king of clubs. That is quite amazing how, in the end, Cale's hand fills up to a full house, and we lose just like that. Armon. That was a really surprising hand, because Armon was really, really patient. Armon Van Wyck from South Australia. We lose him, and we congratulate him. He will not take home any money because we're just outside the bubble. 59 players now, so 4 players remain. In 4 players' time, 4 more busts, and everyone gets a little bit of money. So Cale continues to increase his stack, 2.275 million now. Van Marcus, 1.95. Billy, just under $1 million. Paris hanging in at 410, waiting for that moment to try and double up. And Luca, who's joined the short stack, and he's done very well to bring it back up to 870, being patient. Some stories emerging.
Still plenty of play here today. We've got a break coming up in about 30 minutes from now, but we've got at least 3 more levels after that before we bag up for the night. So quite a bit of play. Will certainly be in the money well before we end tonight's stream.
Blinds, 25 now, 50,000. Pots 100,000 before we start. Folds around to Paris, the short stack. Jack deuce off suit. Looking at the clock a lot for Paris.
I don't think Paris has any rush to make a decision. He's going to play that shot clock down as much as he can.
Here we go.
10K, you got 100, then you...
It's time to slow the play down and hope some people bust around us. We're not hand for hand yet.
He's going to be doing that. He's still got 5 players to bust, Paris. He might need to do that for a little bit longer. Having a little laugh about it is Paris.
Round to Luca, queen high. Folds round to Van, who raises it up with queen jack offsuit. In the cutoff, Billy with a king 4 offsuit.
Hasn't had a whole lot of hands to play with, Billy.
But doesn't he know how to survive? Billy's just uber impressive with his radar. Just so much experience. It's often disguised. You just can't see it. But if you take a really close look and double click on the way Billy looks at the game when he looks at players, you can just see underneath that amazing poker player, because it is not easy to do what he does. Around to Kale, who's got an interesting 7-4 offsuit. Looks across at Van. And look at this. Kale going to defend his big blind with a raggy hand, so hoping to outflop Van. Very interesting hand emerging. And the flop comes. 3-6-5. Wow, so Kale flopping a straight against Van Marcus. Wow, oh, I'm sure Kale was hoping to outflop Van, but I'm not sure his expectations were that high. Kale checks, Van very cleverly checks behind him. It turns a heart, neither player with a heart, so now is it time for Kale to release the trap. Action on Kale.
It's an ugly board for Van. I think he knows that.
This time Kale's going to fire now. Probably doesn't like the heart on the turn, assuming. 270 in the middle. Kale bets 240, so he doesn't want the river, obviously, and Van folds. So Kale Burns now the aggressor, the most aggressive. Van just behind him, Luca as well, who joined the table not long ago and kind of got active real quick. Some players in the chat asking about the cash game. Yes, absolutely, we can cater for cash games. One of the best parts of the Aussie Millions is you get everybody spilling over. As soon as Sats finished and tournaments finishes, you get plenty of cash game action, that's for sure. What's the payout? Let me confirm. First prize will be $482,000 and a little bit more change. Second prize, just over 290. Third prize, just over 188. All the way down to the bubble, which is only 4 players away. Action on Johan with King, Queen of Spades. He's got 2.2 million in chips, raises it up to 100,000, folds around to Paris, short stack.
I don't want to get the money. What's the point? I want to win.
After you get the money,
I know.
I
I didn't run it out. It's like this.
And Paris really taking his time, Ben. Very good read, sir. Round to Luca, 10-5 off suit. Players just slowing things down a little bit. Experience rising to the top.
Yeah, no doubt. Players slowed just as we get down to that bubble.
Got to say, Van's game is looking very good, and he's looking very svelte, like he's been in the gym and he's working very hard. Got to say,
First thing he sat down is all
Very excited. I don't know whether I want him to come into the commentary box because it means that we're looking at him on a final table.
Twice more than them.
Johan with King, Queen of Spades. Van picking up pocket twos. 100k to call.
My apologies, man.
And in the hijack.
If there was anybody else that would have wanted me to
Billy gets out of the way.
heads up.
We're going to see a flop. Van set mining. Johan. About 50-50 here. Until the flop comes 8-4-5. Van with the lead. Johan with the action.
Ben will know that that flop certainly is far more in his range than in Johan's range, who opened the action.
Johan's been pretty quiet, very patient. A tight game, very aware. Johan with 2.2 million in chips, so he's done well to protect that stack. Van at 1.7 before the start of this hand. Looks like Johan's going to take a bet. It's 325 in the pot. Johan takes a stab, and it is 200,000, a healthy bet, over to Van, who quickly folds. So Johan takes it down. There's our chip count. Johan sits on top now. Carl Burns just behind at 2.3, Van at 1.7. Paris still the short stack at 410. It's amazing he's got alligator blood too, just like yesterday. And that 2.5k final table, we saw Jordan Tentori, alligator blood. Some of these players showing incredible patience, and this is the right time to do it. 4 players remain till the money, so the next 4 players will miss out. You'll notice players slow it all down and take their time, and then suddenly when that bubble bursts, you might see 5 of them go very quickly because they've been waiting so long.
There'll be a bit of action, I would imagine, once that happens. Of course, players have a 45-minute dinner break coming up fairly shortly, in about 20 minutes' time, just over 20 minutes' time.
So do we, don't we?
We do. We might end up at the bar.
Well, I first
drowning our sorrows.
I have to first call my family and make sure my children went to bed, which I doubt. Right now, with their cousin Dom, they're not in bed.
Well, it is Saturday night.
It is Saturday night. You can see Frankie B in the background there, see, with the red hat. Always watching.
Could be anywhere at any time.
Always watching. Folds around to Luca, picks up ace-3 of diamonds. Taking his time. Looks at the clock.
There's a lot of clock watching at the moment this time of the tournament, isn't there? Just evaluating.
And gets out of the way. Round to Van, King, 4 hearts. Great time to pick up chips too for the experienced players. Always know how to play the bubble. Those aspiring to play an Aussie Millions one day, it's a part of the game that is vastly underestimated. Is some players, Lee Nelson used to talk about the bubble being the great opportunity to pick up chips. Van raising it up with King hearts, King 4 hearts. Ben pocket with a 7 deuce, probably winding that clock down a little bit. Folds it and takes it down. So Johan sits atop, 2.4, Kale with 2.3. We are only 4 players off the money now. Let's just take a little bit of a recap at the size of this prize pool. So we've got 464 players and only 59 remain. 4 more players will bust with no money. And what can I say? The first prize is nearly $500,000, $482,000. Second prize, 290. Third, 188. And I don't know if you noticed this, but just a second ago, Billy the Croc pulled out his puppet crocodile out of his bag and then put it back. So I'm not sure it's time for Billy to bring out the puppet. But Billy's got different gears of humour and poker. So we are 4 off the money. This is starting to get pretty intense. You don't want to do all of this work, take home nothing.
No, and even the minimum payout of 10k is nothing to sneeze at.
No. Especially if you satellite it in, and so many players do, right? Into the main, to these events, they satellite in. So a lot of them taking maximum value from a cash. Falls around to Billy in the hijack, gets out of the way with a 7 high, round to Kale with Queen 10. He's in the cutoff. He's experienced. He's got 2.4 million. He's going to raise in position. He's going to put pressure on those players. Round to Ben, who's got a weak ace. Must be thinking, is this a good time to 3-bet? Is Kale light here? He's got something like a Queen 10. Difficult time to do it around the bubble, right, guys? That's the main thing, is would you do it if you were in the money? They might play the hand differently. And look at that. Ben looked like he wanted to do it, but he erred to the sign of caution. Johan with Queen 9 and Paris, the short stacks, smiles at Kale, knowingly, almost just honestly looking at him going, I know what you're doing, mate, but I just can't fight you. Paris is still going to look at that clock.
He's watching intently.
He's just going to take his time and look at that Queen 3.
And you can't blame him.
I would do exactly the same, but probably just not look as good. Lets it go. So Kale takes it down again, climbing up a little bit, accumulating those chips. Kale sits now nearly at 2.5 million. Johan at 2.3, Van at 1.8. Billy the Croc slips just under $1 million, but still okay. $1 million in his hands. In terms of chip value, he can make that last, don't you worry.
Incentives.
Although if they come over, I don't think they can really do. But
Nlhe's still very comfortable, and Kale has moved himself up to 50 big blinds as well. So now the table chip leader of those two, certainly feeling pretty good about life at the moment.
Certainly.
So you're entitled to a bit more than that, I reckon.
yeah, I've got some 30
If you did an
seconds in
18,
my
you
bank.
got 22.
I've got 30 seconds in the bank. I've got a couple of banks.
Action on Van Marcus. Ace Deuce raises it up to 110. Over to Billy. He's got 950k. As you notice, play slowing down. Still at 59 players. 55 make the money. Lets it go. Round to Kale. Jack 10 of hearts. So many players just have this love-hate relationship with Jack 10 of hearts. I love it. It's a very good cash game flexibility hand. Lots of stories attached to that hand. Sometimes a good hand to 3-bet. And looks like Kale's going to call. So taking the opportunity here to just call, figuring nobody's going to get aggressive at this point. Folds around to Johan, gets out of the way, round to Paris. Paris here now with an interesting decision. Very average hand to Queen 5, but not a lot here to call as he's in the small blind. But look at this. Looks at the clock again. He's going to throw in a few time cards this time. Yep. He's going to really slow that down. Unfortunately, this hasn't worked so far because nobody else is busting. So there's quite a bit of value in the pot now. 345,000. He's got 25 in there, but I can't see him investing 30% of his stack to call.
He could use up all of his
use
time
up all
banks
those
potentially
cards to get to the money. Yeah. No, lets it go. So round to Luca now, who's got pretty good value. And look at this, suited connectors. My kind of hand in the big blind. Kind of hand that doesn't cost him a lot. He's only got 770, but plenty of value in the pot.
So the F4, I think it might be 24. I'm almost certain it's before.
They've given away too many. How many I've got? 5.
And look at this.
When you get time back.
Luca's going to play. So really interesting flop here. Weak ace versus 2 sets of suited connectors. Remember, we're on the bubble. The flop, a king in the door, a 9 and a 3, 2 spades. So Luca catching middle pair. Luca's taken the lead. Pretty dry flop.
Got a gut shot for Kale. Van may look to represent.
Oh, look at this. Luca checking.
Tricky spot for Luca.
Yeah.
If anybody bets.
Is Van going to fire 400,000 in the middle? Might decide to put something out there as continuation. I'm going to guess 130. Very thin. Let's see. I was right yesterday. Remember that, Ben? 140. Yeah, I will get a tattoo.
I remember you were right yesterday because I was so shocked.
I'm pretty sure you were shocked just then too. Now around the Kale, who's got a gutser. Look at this. Looks like he's gonna. Wow, is he raising this up? No, he's making the call. So now, Luca, 140k to call with middle pair. He's got 710. Probably wishing he had a 1.7 because then it's an easy call.
Really tough spot for Luca here.
Yeah.
Especially with the bet and the call. Makes it hard for him to feel like he's ahead.
He's got to be thinking 140 into 685 might be worth a call, even though he's the short stack, won't change anything, but he gets out of the way. Turn is a jack, so Kale catching the turn. Once again against Van. Can't imagine Van's going to love that if they show this down. Will Van fire again? That's the thing. Action is on Van. He bets 450,000. Wow, he really fired a second barrel there. He's really trying to put the pressure on Kale now. Kale with a jack 10 of hearts. He's caught the turn, but this is really interesting from Van. Really going to try and apply pressure to Kale. Kale
Gets him to fold.
Yeah, he's going to.
Great play by Van.
Well, he's thrown in a time card.
So I thought he threw his
He's
cards.
thrown a time card. I tell you what, though, Ben, you might be right. Kale might let this go, and that will show pressure, right? That's.
There's certainly a lot to think about here.
Yeah. I mean, we are assuming here, but Kale could be thinking something completely different. Most of the time with me, he is. Let's have a look, Kale. Wow, you were right, Ben. He let it go. So Van Marcus, amazing. Really good play. Great poker pressure. That is some look at this, going to show him. And Kale, wow, yep. Just a quick wow, and fair play to Van Marcus, climbs back up to 2.3 million, just ahead of Carl Burns. That is some really good poker there. You want to talk about a pressure time, you want to talk about a moment where we're on the bubble. These two guys, they've been around a long, long time. Just goes to show you.
Opening white when Cal's got position on you is risky.
Well, it's getting hot now. 4 players remain until we start the money. Close to a dinner break. Some of the players will absolutely be aware of that.
Yeah, Paris certainly is aware of that with his using that shot clock to his absolute maximum.
Got to hand it to him. He's got a smile. Look at Billy. He's got the physiotherapy rubber band. That's what you do. That's able to look after yourself. Good on you, Billy. Action is on Billy with 10-8 off suit.
actually go and look through the hands.
I mean, when I get home tomorrow, I might have a good look. Yeah.
Players really taking their time. Billy now doing the same. Even though Billy's got 950k, he knows better. Although he's counting out some chips here.
What a waste.
And then he changes his mind and folds. Bit of theatre. Round to Kale. Be interesting to see how he responds here after losing that hand to Van. Van showing him the bluff on the turn. Kale raising it up, 2.2. Kale's going to do the machine thing.
No doubt Kale has got a lot more active over the past half hour or so. Perhaps picking up the number of players with shorter stacks, just putting pressure on them, forcing them into a decision.
Blinds 25, 50,000. Kale raising it up to 110. Round to Paris. Basically got his eye only on the clock and his hands on the time cards. Folds his hands. Round to Luca. 10-4 of diamonds. He's going to let that go, but he'll take his time before he does.
Because it's inverse the field. We should have cut you in once you had someone who had different. But then
Some of our chat saying, don't show your cards. Oh, yeah, there's so many different schools of thought. Look at this. Van with the same hand, A7 off suit, Kale raising, these two again. Van this time looks like he's going to call and defend. Let's see if we've got some more exciting poker between these two guys. So Van Marcus with 2.1, Kale with 2.1 in chips, both with the same hand. We're on the bubble. Neither hit, of course. King, Queen, 8. Great opportunity for some theatre. Van checks.
Possibly whoever shows courage here should take this one down, I think.
And Kale checks, so they're going to play a little bit cautiously because that flop is wet and it gets even more interesting. Jack of diamonds on the turn, neither player having a hand. It goes check. Now will Kale take a stab here? Nearly 300,000 in the pot. He's got to be thinking that's in Van's range. But he's going to take a stab. He's going to ask the question. Yeah, makes it 200. And Van quickly folds. So really good play there from Kale. Bit of passive from Van. Trading blows, so one round each, I'd say. Maybe two to Kale, one to Van, but some really, really good poker going back and forth here. Van with 2.1 million in chips. Kale Burns with 2.4. Billy the Croc at 950, very steady. Paris hanging in there, 285. Has got to make something happen. Still 4 players remain until we hit the money.
Of course, Van and Kale have sparred many times over the years. They've known each other a long time. Two members of the Australian Poker Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Just terrific. What a great table. Kale, Van, Billy. Benjamin's playing really well, good player. Johan. Paris is showing really, really good patience. Armon we lost. Luca joins us. He's playing very well so far. Folds around to Johan, who raises it up with King Deuce of diamonds. Around Paris with a 5-3 of diamonds, who will no doubt take his time and fold. Look at that clock again. Wondering whether any players are gone. And folds around to Luca. Really slowing things down now.
It's 5 minutes until the dinner break. I wonder if Paris is contemplating, do I want to come back after the break with 4 big blinds?
Well, he's showing resilience, so I think the answer is yes. If he can get there, he will. Round to Van. So Van's might get involved here.
You should leave your 100k there.
So Johan raising it up with King Deuce of Diamonds. We're waiting for Van's hand to come through. But it looks like he's involved in the hand. And he's got pocket eights. So he makes the call. Going to play this passive. Billy the Croc with King 4 off suit. He's in the big blind, so it wouldn't cost him a lot. Their initial raise is 100. Only going to cost him another 50. And he's slightly ahead of Johan, dominating, and he's behind Van on his pocket eights. But Billy's going, there's plenty of value here. 50,000. Pot's 300. Sure, Billy's just thinking, well, maybe I'll throw it in for value. But look at this. Billy's showing experience. Just getting out of there. Just saying, nope, stay disciplined. Well done, Billy.
They just bring on the bring the super. But it's good. I like that system. That's what you have to do. In Asia, they have rules.
And let's look at the flop. There's a 5, so Billy would have flopped a 5, no doubt. So Van in the lead, although Johan catches a deuce.
How much you got in blue?
Might have got Billy into a lot of trouble, so it just goes to show you how experience fares.
He's been around the block, Billy.
Sure has. Van checks his eights. Trying to induce here. Trying to get Johan to take a stab, and he might with bottom pair. Flops 300. The pot's 300,000. Johan might bet 110. Let's see if I'm right again. Come on. 175. The radar's finally fallen over.
It was only a matter of time. Don't think you'll get rid of Van quite that easily.
With eights, I think he knew what was happening there. Does he raise here or does he call? No, he calls. Van doesn't release. Oh, what a turn. So Van wasn't feeling sure before. Quickly checks. His turn to set. Johan with bottom pair now. He's trying to induce Johan into a second barrel. Johan with 2.1 million. Van with 1.9 and certainly the ascendancy in this hand. 650 in the middle. Van trying to get Johan to bet again. Johan not taking the bait this time. The river a 3 of clubs. Now what does Van do? Surely not check again and take the chance. Wow, Van really showing courage in trying to induce that bluff, but he couldn't.
Oh my God.
So, and you can tell by the reaction.
Paris has spoken for all of us.
And look at Johan smiling because he knows that if he'd have fired on the Turnal River, he would have been firing into the monster. So Johan, look at that, went to showdown 50% of the time. Van with a high percentage number as well. Billy the Croc, Luca, Paris, no showdowns. Impressive. No showdowns means less information. So Van Marcus taking a really nice hand down. Van now moves back up to where he was, 2.5 million. He's made his way all the way back up again. Kale at 2.4. Johan at 2.1. Paris the short stack, 285. Just under 6 big blinds. Luca sort of weaning back down to 685,000. Billy at 850. We are still 4 off the money.
No need for,
All the players showing their experience. They know how to survive.
I said there's no need to do 30 seconds.
Floor staff just called last hand before the break, so
Luca, you make sure we get through there.
Let's take a look.
see how keen.
Stay with us tonight through
We can have our phones, yeah?
our feature table and the 5K challenge. We are day 2, No Limit Hold'em, live at Crown, Aussie Millions Championship, presented by CrownBet. 2026 champion will be crowned next week. Van Marcus with pocket 2s and 2.5 million in chips. What's he doing here? He's going to call with Billy folding and Kale with ace king of clubs. Wow. So Kale in the big blind. Is he going to soft play his ace king, or is he going to try and trap Billy, or is he going to raise? Look at this. A limp from Van Marcus. Round 4. Here we go. Kale raises it up, making sure he protects. 250 grand. Now Van laughing to himself. Does he try and catch? No, he's going to wait. That's the right play, although he must have been tempted. So he lets it go and Kale will take it down. So these two just going back and forth. I'm loving the play. And the players are now on a break. There is the chip count. Kale sits atop and Van Marcus pretty much neck and neck. Paris, the short stack. Luca just behind. Billy the Croc still hanging in at 825 and Ben Pocket just over $1 million. So really good play in that session. A really great table, Ben. It's great to have day two back and at the Aussie Millions. We will be back shortly after the meal break. So for all the players out there who are listening, this is just beginning, just warming up. So stay with our coverage. And of course, you've got Poker News. So when the breaks are on, if you are wondering what's going on, the Poker News guys' radars are all the time. You can jump on the Facebook page. The Crown Facebook page has got our links to the video. If you don't know where to find us, that's where you go. And that'll click on the link and that'll take you to our video. And then you've got Poker News as well reporting. We are from Poker Media Australia, supporting the Crown Aussie Millions presented by Crown Bet. And we'll see you soon.
Progress. It's relentless. Earned by pushing forwards through the setbacks and the wins, all for an opportunity that others might miss. Two worlds driven by performance, guided by data, insights, and feel. It's never just a move, it's a mindset. Because better never settles.
Crown Bet is back in the game, built for the big moments in racing and sport, from a name you know. Bet with Crown Bet today.
Chances are you're about to lose.